Hello, and welcome to the Asylum. I am your host, Don. With me today, in a beautiful kitchen with a blue sky and flowers or some sort of plant and curtains, and definitely not a fake background that comes with Skype, is Jeremiah.
Hi. And we're not talking about a lot of movies right now. We're going to talk about one because
Singular.
we found out Vampires vs. Zombies is also called Carmilla the Lesbian Vampire. I don't get the connection. If I just thought of Vampires vs. Zombies and Asylum, I would have thought a movie where vampires are fighting zombies, a la Underworld.
But no.
Not Carmilla the Lesbian Vampire, which apparently you cannot find.
Yes, we scoured the internet for it, incapable of finding it. It's with 100 Feet and the Fast and the Furious ripoff that they made as movies that Tubi that Asylum has somewhere, but they don't exist in real life, apparently.
And I definitely might have set off the censors at work more than a few times trying to search for it. Apparently, lesbian vampire is not something they let you search on school computers.
That is true. You would think you would remember that from high school, Jeremiah, but you were such a good kid.
Yeah, the software now is significantly better than it was in high school.
You used to be able to trick it real easy by just changing HTTPS.
Well, now, so the one we are watching now is the first one we did say, which is known as Dracula's Curse, or as the cover says, Bram Stoker's Dracula's Curse, even though it literally has nothing to do with Bram Stoker's Dracula at all.
It's about Dracula or his curse.
So I do find it funny. So it says, the direct quote from the writer says, "It is not based on any writings for Dracula, but it is based and similar to Blade Trinity, Dracula 2000, and Underworld Evolution. Movies that are definitely known to follow Bram Stoker." And it also has some similarities with the 1971 Hammer horror film Countess Dracula, which features a Dracula-esque femme fatale.
Interesting.
This movie, it's early. It is early.
2004.
Asylum, when they were still trying.
2004 Asylum. Right? 2004?
2006.
2006. So when they first started shifting over to their new business model. This movie is kind of all over the place, but it opens up with a group of vampire hunters who I think are referred to as the Nine, but there's not 9 of them. So I'm not sure on that. But the group of vampire hunters, vampire hunting, and then one of them is referred to as both the Colonel and King. I think King is his name.
His name is Rufus King.
Rufus King, yeah, Rufus King.
Not that I got that from the movie. I got that from IMDb.
So he gets contacted by the most recent Van Helsing to go to a meeting with the leader of the vampire councils. And
Jacob Van Helsing.
Jacob Van Helsing. So he goes to this meeting, and the leader's like, "Hey, let's stop killing each other. You guys stop killing us. We'll stop killing you. And let's just be friends." And King is like, "Okay, what about the purebloods?" Which they don't explain what a pureblood is at that point in the movie. It gets explained way later on. Because fun fact, this is the longest Asylum film that we have watched so far. It is 1 hour and 48 minutes?
Yes, though I do find it funny that Wikipedia says there was 90 minutes, and then it says there was an extended cut. We might have watched it extended.
So Asylum stole an extra 18 minutes of our lives.
Okay, so they do this truce. I'm just gonna. The plot of this movie is not that deep. They do this truce. 5 years pass, and then you see this couple in bed, and the female vampires show up. Bites the girl. She moans a lot. There's a lot of moaning when people get bitten in this one, like Anne Rice style moaning, but a lot of it. And I think they kill the guy. They take the girl for sure.
Didn't kill the guy. They Vulcan mind melded him because that's a vampire power in this. Vampire mind meld. That's a vampiric power in this. So they like vampire mind meld and then leave him alive for some reason.
It is being done by female vampires led by Countess Bathory, which of course they've never done a straight up movie about that character, and so they just do whatever they want with her. Bathory, sorry.
Bathory, because it's not Countess Bathory and it's not Count Dracula, it's Count Dracula. Important. Throughout the entire movie, not once is Dracula mentioned in a movie titled Dracula's Curse. Instead, Dracula. They just threw a friggin' Y in there. And then it's Countess Elizabeth Bathory. So they threw an L in there for some reason. I don't know why. Countess Bathory is a well-known human being whose name has been dragged through the mud for literal centuries, but they couldn't use her name in this movie.
Basically, she wants to create a clan of vampires. She's been attacking humans. The actual council goes, what? Oh, we probably know who did it.
Let's go to the council real quick. Fangs. They look ridiculous.
Well, okay, one of them looks like Nosferatu.
One of them does look
like Nosferatu. They had a bad makeup job from Gary Oldman. Like the big forehead thing.
Mm-hmm. He's clearly a reference to Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like that's what he was supposed to be. But then you have one of them that looks like the insidious demon's kind of slow little brother.
The Darth Maul demon.
The Darth Maul demon with the horns and the red demon makeup for some reason. Like he's the only one that looks like that. But for some reason they did that. And then they also have kind of like the face. I don't know how to describe it. You know what I'm trying to describe, Jeremiah?
Face wrinkles.
Yeah, like the face, like the Klingon forehead on the face.
Like Palpatine's face when he decides to go dark side.
Yeah. They have other vampires that are like that. So they show a variety of vampires existing, but we mostly deal with vampires that look humanoid. They look like normal people like you and me.
Yeah, because they have hot chicks.
It's because they have hot chicks. So they let the boy live, or the guy live, whose girlfriend they absconded with. He somehow, not sure exactly how, tracks down King and explains to him what happened. I don't remember exactly how they came together, but they came together somehow. So King now knows that the truce has been broken. And when they were talking about the truce earlier, they had brought up Bathory because she is a renegade. So then we get some backstory. So Bathory was one of Dracula's brides, apparently.
In this.
Julia's brides, apparently. So she was already it's literally Elizabeth Bathory. They gave her the same backstory, but then she encounters Count Dracula, and he makes her into a vampire, one of his 3 brides. And apparently they all got it on and had normal human children who, we get this explained to us later, are what are the purebloods. So purebloods are Dracula and his wives getting it on, having human children, and then those children going on to proliferate. but apparently their blood is especially potent. So Batherley is on the hunt for purebloods. And one of the main characters, Gracie, who played the general in Transmorphers. Sure. Is that who she played?
Maybe. Well, I'm pulling it up now. So she played the general. She's also the composer for this movie.
The music wasn't bad. Anyway, she's one
the composer for Transmorphers. That's me.
So she's one of the purebloods, and she has like a weird. She also banged King in the beginning of the movie, but so she's got her own like vendetta against the vampires. But so she's on their hunting list, and she apparently has a sister who's also on their hunting list. Then we get reintroduced to, or no. One of my favorite lines in this movie. I have two favorite lines in this movie. Number one is when King goes to see the council again because the truce has been broken. He brings the guy whose girlfriend was kidnapped, and they offer him a drink, which obviously is blood. And he goes, "I never drink blood," which is a reference to the famous line, "I never drink wine," which has been used in like every Dracula movie ever, but came from the Bela Lugosi Dracula initially.
Remember, and that's a Dracula movie that's so famous they filmed it twice at the same time because there's also a Spanish version, exactly the same with a different actor. I don't know why they did it that way, but whatever. So I'm just gonna. Okay.
So it was a great reference.
So this movie is trying really hard to be a vampire movie. Okay, I'm gonna give it that. I don't like Dracula 2000. I know you do. Story-wise, I would say this movie has a significantly better story than that one in, but it's filmed on a significantly worse camera than that movie is. Okay? It wants to be Blade Trinity. I'm sorry, Blade Trinity is a comic book movie that has a lot more money at it, and even though it had Triple H proving he cannot act, and a weird demon dog, and the main actor didn't want to be in the movie and had to CGI his eyes open because he literally wouldn't open them for some reason. Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel are great and carry that movie better than anything in this movie. Okay? So the best comparison for this one would be Underworld Evolution, which is not a great movie, not a great plot, has some really good-looking people, has Kate Beckinsale naked, which is a significant plus. But that movie, all those Underworld movies, have great set design and great filming. Okay, like the set design is great, and the monster design is pretty awesome for Marcus, the vampire mutant guy. This is like if you had Underworld Evolution, but from Wish.com. You can see it, and sometimes it looks fine, but it's filmed cheaper. Set design is not as good. They use a lot of makeup, which is a plus. But if the cat light was any brighter, it would look really, really bad. Yes. The audio is weird. Like sometimes you can tell it was like filmed ADR where you can hear it, and sometimes you can tell it was on set. But when it's like in the same conversation, like near the beginning, they have that planning session at the table between all like the vampire hunter people, and like every other line definitely sounds like a different microphone at a different volume with different echo. So the sound mix is very off.
Very.
They definitely saved money on the sound mix. But this movie has significantly more effort put into it than most of the films that they have. And I'm just going to look at I'm looking at the critical reception for this movie, and I'm curious what you think. So it says, critical reception was mixed to positive, which is significantly better than any Asylum film we've looked at. Usually it's mixed to trash. Like Dread Central, which reviews a lot of horror, says it's not a bad movie. If you're looking for a vampire film cut in the same cloth as Vampire the Masquerade, decent enough video game, or the short-lived TV series Kindred the Embraced, then you'll probably dig this movie. But you'll have to have patience. Monsters and Critics, which is another horror one, says, although at sometimes the acting is a bit stiff and special effects are a bit lacking, Dracula's Curse is still packed full of enough gunfights, sword fights, and vampire action to deliver popcorn roller coaster ride of a fun movie. Trash City, which reviews every Asylum movie, says, though falling some way short of perfection, if you liked Hellsing, the anime, or Ultraviolet, the Brit TV show, not the movie, I say no one likes that movie, unironically anyway, then this will probably be of interest and entertaining as such. If your tastes run more in the Fast and Furious style of vampire cinema, which Hollywood currently prefers, you will not like this movie. Horror DNA says it's the best Asylum has to offer. He's crafted something slick in Bram Stoker's Dracula's Curse. It is a perfect starting point for those wanting to delve into low-budget horror. I don't agree with that part, because there is definitely some very classic low-budget horror films that are way better than this. Pretty sure this had a bigger budget than Halloween did, for example. Heck, Paranormal Activity, though that franchise has done too much, like that, they still legitimately can scare you for like no money.
It's true.
Even though half of it's with sound. So I'll say, critically speaking, this movie is liked better than most because they gave an honest, good attempt at this movie. Where it falls apart is the execution mechanically of pretty much everything. Okay, it has better sword fights though than King Arthur did. I think because they let them have more time to practice. They filmed it more than once. Yeah. I don't. Maybe they do have some costumes, though. It looks like they had whatever they have, and then they went with it. You know, usually for costumes, for example, they'll have like multiple copies of each one, so they can have battle damage. They can have, you know, different scene continuity. This one clearly doesn't have that. They have what they have, and if it broke, it's gone. It's a fairly ugly film, though. It's filmed in that era where like there's film and digital, and Asylum films at this era look kind of ugly. But that's not the biggest problem with it. Sound is pretty bad. Like,
yeah, definitely the sound.
It's not a lot of people bad though. There's no AC units just going during their talking.
Jeremiah cut me off from being able to tell you the entire plot, which I normally do. But we pretty much hit the
Sometimes you talk like 20 minutes straight about the plot. The last one I edited, I just had 1 hour later, and I cut half of the plot description, and then there was still 8 more minutes.
As our viewers deserve to know. Anyway, they get together. Turns out they were betrayed by one dude. There's a weird, kind of pointless love affair between a vampire and Van Helsing. And then you find out the king
there's multiple sex scenes in here with clothes on, including a threesome.
I was legit upset.
There's nudity near the end.
Yeah, there are 3 sex scenes in this movie, one of which involved a dude getting his dick bit off. Penis. What's the word I can use on YouTube that's not going to get us in trouble? Tallywhacker. His tallywhacker bit off. And there's no nudity in any of those 3 scenes. But then, just in a random scene, there's a naked lady in the background, boobs out and everything, and you're just like, why? But yeah. And then the final, at the very, very end, we find out that King, the guy who leads the vampire hunters, is, of course, Dracula. And that's it. That's the whole friggin' movie. It's a movie. It's not horrible. Honestly, I don't know that I would recommend it. It wasn't a waste of time. It wasn't as painful to watch as some of the other movies that we have seen. But the sound quality is really lacking, and there's just so much better that you could watch than this that I wouldn't say you need to go out and see it. It's not like Avengers Grim.
Jacob Van Helsing, played by Rhett Giles, is perfectly fine as an actor in this movie. He's in a lot of stuff. I think now he mostly produces stuff. I think he's a producer on that 12 Monkeys show, which is significantly better than I would have thought. But we'll see him again in other movies, but he's perfectly fine in this movie. I know he was the narrator in Transmorphers, but I'm not going to hold that against him because I don't remember the narrator even being in that movie. He was in Pirates of Treasure Island as Wilkins. I don't remember him in that movie at all either. I remember the crab, and I remember the females.
Yeah, it wasn't a waste.
That's where I recognized him from. He's in Mangler Reborn. Oh, good grief.
None of the actors in this movie phoned it in. They were all legitimately attempting to make a movie. It wasn't
He's
like
the pastor in War of the Worlds.
interesting. I thought he looked familiar. That would explain where he looked familiar from. Anyway, all the actors in this movie were legitimately trying. There wasn't anything bad about the acting. The plot is predictable but not bad. Where this really loses you is the sound quality. It is garbage. The sound quality is garbage.
There's a vampire early on that made me really worried. The one with the long white hair wig and like the not good teeth and the bowler hat. When I saw that one, I was like, oh no. Oh no, 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 no. But the Nosferatu one looks fine, even though he's like having a guy that short have the Nosferatu makeup. Is like, I don't know if I'd be scared of you. But
like a giant Dobby.
It being the fact that who was the original Nosferatu? Last name was Shrek, and he actually thought he was a vampire.
Like Armie Hammer.
No, not like Armie Hammer. But I'd say this movie is fine. That's where it's gonna go. It's fine. They didn't really embrace the cheese. They went serious, but when they went serious, they didn't like. They almost had the means to carry it off, to pull it off. This is not King Arthur. This is not Journey to the Center of the Earth.
This is not one of their movies where you could clearly see they had a bigger vision and they didn't have the budget for it. This is a movie that their vision and their budget actually matched.
Almost. I'd put it close to Jolly Roger.
The one about the
like the pirate ghost that does a walk through town and like murders people.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's about right there. I enjoyed Jolly Roger. I enjoyed this, but again, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't tell you if I saw you on the street and I was like, "Hey, I want to watch a really good vampire movie. You should check out Dracula the Curse." Like, no, that's not gonna happen. But it's not horrible. It's not a waste of your life.
And yeah, you've seen the next one we're going to watch. I have not seen it yet, but we'll find out. Because the one we're going to watch next is Dracula, the original human vampire. What is it called? Original Vampire. It's a mockbuster of Morbius, the classic that Sony did that they knew people loved it so much they released it in theaters multiple times to bomb. And then, because we cannot find Carmilla the lesbian vampire,
or zombies versus vampires,
instead, before Sinister Squad, we're going to watch Snow White Grimm. And then hopefully I think that wraps up that series. It was either going to be that one or Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies, which is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Because that's almost vampire connected. And I've actually been told that movie is decent because I believe Abraham Lincoln's played by Bob Odenkirk, who most people know from Better Call Saul. He's Saul, who's a legit good actor and knows how to embrace the ham. And being better than the actor who played Abraham Lincoln in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is not that hard. Though, of course, Dominic Cooper is awesome. But, yeah, that's what we're going to do next.
If our loyal fans would like us to watch Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies instead of Grim Snow White, comment it. Because we'll have an entire week from when this video comes out before we end up watching that movie. So, you have a whole week to let us know that you would rather watch us talk about the President of the United States fighting zombies or another Snow White movie. So it's up to you guys.
I'm surprised they haven't done something like General Patton. I don't know. Werewolf splatting. I don't know.
Wow.
He
Don't
does
give them
have,
ideas.
he does have the pearl pistol things, and so he has to put silver bullets in there and have it released with Lone Ranger. You know.
Don't give them ideas, Jeremiah.
They don't need it. I've seen their most recent crop definitely does not need any more ideas.
We know for a fact that somebody who works for Asylum has seen our channel. We know it.
And we know we're at least behind in a couple of the franchises we have started, because there's another Megalodon movie.
There's another Megalodon. There's 3, 4, and 6 headed shark attack. There's
Transmorphers.
Yeah. There's Aquarium of the Dead. So yeah,
that one though, legitimately we couldn't watch because it was on Showtime.
But there's definitely stuff that we still haven't seen. So
we were excited for Transmorphers because we were told it was good, and people lied. Liars.
Shame.
You.
Shame.
Ring the bells.
But if that dude who works for Asylum or chick who works for Asylum happens to be watching, we're totally open for some pre-screeners and some free merch. I would love to get like an Avengers Grimm poster to put on my wall back here. So, just
Shark Side of the Moon.
Shark Side of the Moon for Jeremiah.
That was a legit fun movie. It was a fun movie.
It is your favorite Asylum film.
I think Zombies is better.
Yeah, I think Zombies is probably.
I think I had more fun with Zombies. Heck, the first scene of Zombies with the breaking out of the lab with the monkeys, where they like rip out the eyeballs and like that's
wonderful. Such a great scene. All right. Okay. Well, with that said, I think that about wraps up this video. Jeremiah, you have any thing you want to? All right. Cool. Well, okay. Thanks. Bye.